Please put your hands together for Sydney's Wayne Newby.
Wow, both drivers right up on it from the start line. 0.51 reaction time for Kyle Putland. He was off the start line first, only marginally over Wayne Newby there. He was giving him a race as well, side by side till half track. Let's have a look at the replay now, presented by Gear Ranch. It was a great race right until he struck the tyres, probably about 300 feet out off the racing surface, and that was enough for Wayne Newby to go on through and take the points.
Here's a look at it again from your Gear Ranch replay perspective. And Noobs, a little bit of tyre shake early, but drove through it. A lot of experience there and a lot of raw fuel in the right-hand lane for Kyle Putland. But as you said, some good things to take from that.
And it looks like Wayne Newby might have just popped the supercharger at the other end of the racetrack. I just saw in that replay, there was a flash of flame. You can see Wayne Newby is out of the car and motioning for the fire crew to come on over because, let's face it, everyone loves a barbecue, but not when it's on a top fuel car.
So Noobs is frantically signalling towards the fire crew. In fact, he kicked the canopy open pretty early when he pulled up, which sort of led me to think he was aware of something as well. So Noobs is just saying, can you get over here? We need a bit of a hand. So the Sydney sider, keen to get that thing situated.
And the reason why he wants to get this out, obviously you want to put the fire out, but when it comes down to it, it's going to save the team a bunch of work. If they can get that fire out, they can get it. They won't have to replace all the wiring, all the components, all the pneumatic componentry that's in the back of that car. There is a lot of wiring that goes into these cars, and anytime you can save yourself work between rounds, there's enough work to do on them without having to completely rewire the car as well.
And Noobs is not cold trickle. He builds these cars. He knows them absolutely intimately, so he knows already the challenges. He knows where you point the fire extinguisher and where you don't. Here's a look from the top end right now. Keep your eye on that right-hand side of the screen where Noobs, boy, it left hard, that's for sure. And this is where Rusty said it, just there.
So if you have a look at that, just before the finish line, it just started mixing up the cylinders ever so slightly. When I say that, I mean it's lost ignition in some of those cylinders. You said the raw fuel coming out of the pipes creates a very unhappy engine, and seeing the...
To the side, big time. He too is pulling it off to the side. Boy, the Rapasadas, please put your hands together for the Jim Reed Racing team. They are elated. Look at Mad Dog. The old mullet is going off, but you can see the issues right there for Damien Harris.
That's almost a carbon copy. Just happened a little bit further down the racetrack of what happened last night. Even the angle that the injector had sitting at, another backfire there with the supercharger hanging off at all sorts of weird angles. That is a happy crew. That's a happy Mad Dog.
Wow. That great shot just there, Andy Lopez talking with Bruce Reed, but man, this will be a great interview with Bryony. That much we do know. I know that Briar will be absolutely waiting to rip into Phil here and get some great commentary gold from him. Let's have a look at the run from Reed.
The whole shot went to Damien Harris. He was out in front. He was actually leading the race at that point, but that concussion, that explosion just opened the door for Phil Reed to come on through. 379 is a fantastic run, and it backs up that 72 from last night. And for Damien Harris, it's going to be a case of what might have been, because he was right there, but that concussion again, very, very similar to what we saw last night with the explosion back up through the injector. We think it was maybe something to do with a drop valve. It didn't start spinning the tyres there, which usually is what happens just before these cars backfire the supercharger. So
even with that issue, it was a 392 at that point, which gives you an idea of how much he was motoring. Your Gear Wrench replay, watch closely that left-hand lane. Wow, let's go down to Bryony Ingerson. Bryony, I know you're going to enjoy this. before he rolled through the tunnel.
Yeah, the door was open there for Murray to get the win over McMillan, but the car went wide about 300 feet out off the racetrack. The Morris McMillan chute came out. Now, you might be wondering, why would the parachute come out so early? Well, these cars are so violent, they shake so much, the harmonics in them. Those parachutes are only held in by a tiny little pin, so that when you pull the lever, the pin comes out, the spring comes out. And you can see it was only one chute that came out, so it's obviously just shaking the pin out, and the chute's fallen out. It still rolls through to a 4.30. Would have been a pretty good pass if it wasn't for that.
That was out early.
It's actually surprising. One thing you notice there, when the parachute came out, what that tends to do is actually lift the back of the car, and it actually spun the tyres. So when the parachute comes out, it stayed planted for a little bit, and right there, it just started buzzing the tyres. The car kicked sideways on him and he caught it. But for Morris McMillan, that's a bit of a get-out-of-jail-free card.
We're watching Brett Emmett down here and the crew just having a look at the replay to try and work out what was going on. It still looked a little bit like clutch issues are still a factor there, but they'll go to work on that team and try and find something to work from it. Man, that chute was out crazy early, and like you said, just the amount of energy that is going through these cars.
That was on a really nice pass until it got to about 1,000 foot, and they say nothing good happens after 1,000 foot, and Ronnie Palumbo just found that out. The engine laid over pretty bad at the top end of the racetrack. Let's have a look at the replay. Keep your eye on the right-hand side of the car. For Tassoni, look how out of shape he got. Kept it under control pretty well. He knew that Ronnie Palumbo was way out in front of him, and even managed to avoid the timing box, which we greatly appreciate. But for Ronnie Palumbo, there's a lot of smoke out on the left-hand side. The car started sounding really weird at the top end of the racetrack, and I think he might have chewed up a few engine parts there, because there's a fair bit of smoke out of the pipes, and in an alcohol car, a supercharged alcohol car, that's not what you want to see.
Fab just taking a look up at the screen, a little bit of a grimace, but we know he's got some resources to go back to in that team, and man, that thing was all over the shop. It started badly right here with the red light.
He promised you an electric boogaloo, and I think you just got it.
Yeah, it was more of a headbang, really, wasn't it? Bryony Ingerson down in the deep end as this fantastic day continues.
Together for the South Aussie, the local here, flying the flag, and Matt Abel, he paddled it, he tried to get back into it, the front end came up on him, but by that point, Pat Carboni was gone.
Just makes you wonder whether if he got into the fives, whether he was going to dance instead of Adam. That was a good run. That car is very, very consistent. They did a lot of work on the front end geometry on this car, and it's really made a difference. Your gear wrench replay shows Pat G-O-N-E Gord.
Three stabs at the throttle.
The girls are happy with that. Feet just left beautifully.
Absolutely, got up on the wheelie bar and just rode it on out there. I actually think she may have even pedalled the car early on. I'd have to have a look at the replay, but either way, a 572, 381 k's per hour. That is a beautiful way to open her championship account here. Takes the points in the first round of racing. Every time she shifted gear, it looked like the front end was coming up on the car. That was a beautiful run straight down the centre of the lane. You can't ask for much more than that, Wado.
You know, it's incredible to think she had no drag racing or any real performance motorsport experience at all a year and a half ago, and yet she has so much ability and she just drives the thing so smoothly. She never soars at the wheel, she never rushes what she does.
For 569, 406 k's per hour. Mick Marty was there or thereabouts to 669, but it still blew the tyres off at the head.
But it's a second later and still the team are ecstatic. It's like they ran the 569 because at least they got a lap in. So all the Reeds family, they will be pumped about that. Let's have a look at your gear end replay. John Zapiak, kind of what we've come to expect, sleep at the lights. And I don't mean he's literally that way, but getting away from the line very late, unfortunately.
Gave up 0.3 of a second on the start line, so he was very, very lucky to get away with it, and probably fortunate for him that Mick Marty had his issues, but either way.
Holy cow! 413 kilometres per hour. Put your hands together, South Australia. The defending champ says, eat this. You know what? It was good to see Kapiris up and about, though.
I'm glad he's back into the fives there. 595, 388 kilometres per hour. That's a really solid pass for him and a nice little confidence builder. But for Russell Taylor, that thing was just on a streak from the start to the finish. He gets away with it by about 2 car lengths at the finish line. And wow, for 5.60, that's incredible in these conditions. I didn't think we'd see that in the heat of the day.
That's Russell doing Russell things.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's pretty well what that is. He'll be chugging down the iced coffees and getting it done. He left a little bit late. Actually, Kapiris kind of nailed him at the tree, which we're used to seeing. With a 3, not what he wanted by any stretch of the imagination, but he'll certainly take the points and they'll work it out. This replay will tell us a lot about the car again on the back wheels. Took him to the centre, he had to gather it back up, and then the chatter. If you look at that left-hand lane, you can really see on the left-hand side of the right lane here, here's where it chattered.
Yeah, he did a great job of recovering the run, actually. I've got to be honest, I was expecting being on a solo pass to abandon it, but that's the thing about the all-run format is that you do need to get the thing to the finish line. ET points are so important. Elapsed time comes into it in every single round of racing. So for Dan Gregorini, he got up on the wheelie bar and just shook so hard and drew the car out of the groove. Have a look at the door. The door even came open on the right-hand side of the car. That's how violent the tyre shake was.
The least record hairstyle. I just have to point out that I'm running here.
Sportsman. We'll have a look and see the first pair of cars coming our way. At the moment, it looks like a solo run going to David Foster at number 1. The drag stream, $100 in the pits. Yeah, first person goes again, $6.61 with a 0.40 reaction. Dale Tucker, a 7.58 on a 7.55 dial-in with a 0.58 reaction time. How much was between them, Matt? That was so close on the finish line. What a great running for the Summit Racing Lane coming away. There it is on screen with a car.
got a dial in here at 9.03. So they are trying to get to lead the start line first as he makes his way down towards the Super Sedan. Thank you very much to Bullet Race Engineering.
Yeah, definitely is keeping an eye on this guy's coming up. Corey Reed coming out. Dial in out here for him, 8.10. Paul Partridge coming from Arcadia Vale in New South Wales. The green. Down there, over 600 kg under the hood of NCDO V8 Racing into the Christmas tree. We can see a two-stage line on the ball. There comes in Corey. Now waiting for Corey to be
was an early shut-off. Don't worry about that smoke at the top end of the system. That's just the blower oiling system there. But a 404, and by the look of it, it was pretty clean.
And down the middle, car handled well. I mean, it's not the 370 that he's looking for, but it's another win, and it's another strong run with hopefully not too much to do for the team. We take a look at Wayne Newby.
Yeah, not a lot wrong with this at all. Planned shut-off, got it just past half-track and buttoned it off there. That's why the speed's way down, 381 k's an hour, although it is extremely fast. For a top-fuel car, it's probably about 140 k's down on what you tend to expect. So 404, 381 miles per hour. Now they've got a baseline they can work with that. One more look at the replay. Pretty clean head of flames on both sides, and yeah, Wayne Newby, he was on a solo pass. There was no need to take it all the way to the finish line. You could even see the crew behind them just willing it on, just saying, please just go down. We don't want to have to change another engine. And,
contestant. Come on, South Australia, put your hands together for Phil Reid. The dude is on a mission.
Yeah, absolutely. And even tossing the lower belt down there. You can see it's actually lying in Kyle Mutland's lane, so he's going to have to do a little bit of defensive driving down there. For Kyle Mutland, I think they just missed on the setup there. Just went straight up in tyre stroke.
Tossed it just there, like a black mamba on a black mamba.
Absolutely. Just didn't look like it was spinning the tyres too much at the top end of the racetrack. Oh, yeah, dropped some cylinders there. And that black thing that you see going up over the top of the car, that's a supercharger belt. That's the thing that will effectively on these cars makes all the horsepower, forces all the air into the engine and allows them to burn that fuel. And when that snaps, no more go.
So if someone wants to buy that one for $100, Marty, you say, well, I'm just saying.
Based on how quickly the last one sold, I dare say we could probably price it a little bit higher this time
Well,
around.
that's one thing that has become a market as well, is that selling of used equipment. Let's go down to Brian Ingerson with the always entertaining one. That's a ripping drag race. Come on, folks, put your hands together for all the way. Josh Lay, 429. Speed was quicker for Walsh.
Yeah, it was. He definitely drove it through the back door there. Josh Lay, a great run, 407. I think that's a new PB in that car for him. Let's have a look at it. Not a lot wrong on either side of the racetrack. I think Justin Walsh may have dropped the cylinder right down there at the finish line. He did actually cut out just before the finish line there. And Josh Lay kept it in the centre of the lane. He's starting to look comfortable in this car. And that is a lot for a driver. If you can say you're comfortable in the car, that gives you a lot of confidence. And he's on his way to a final round here.
That's one of the best tracks.
39 thousandths of a second. That was a lot closer than it probably looked on paper because Matt Abel had a 1.12 of a second head start.
These teams are both very close as well, so everybody be hugging up on that one. Even little Charlotte's Web, she's pumped down there as well with all the oil. She's got in her hair as well, but Abel nearly took that down. He nearly did what Pete Lovering hasn't been able to do, and that's to beat Lisa. So that is a great result for that team, and great for Matt. 588 with a 7 is quicker than he's been in a long time.
Absolutely, and there was really only half a car length in it at the other end of the racetrack. It was, Matt Abel was out in front for the fastest. Courtesy of that red light. 1-3-0. That's a shot at the tree and a miss for John Zappia.
You know, if Tassoni had ran a 5, I'd be worried that he'd be fully naked dancing on top of the roof because he promised us a dance, but then if he was to take down Zap doing it, you're just scared to think. That's a big red light.
It was a big red light, and Tassoni, he was on it 0-4-2 on the tree. He was sharp, but you can see there's a visible head start to John Zappia. The red light comes on, and that is an instant disqualification. John Zappia, that's, even though it's only day 1 of this season, that's a big moment in this championship.
You know, Tassoni is... runs a 6-1-1. I think it rattled the system because Sutton went straight in.
Yeah, he did. I'm not quite sure whether or not he didn't have his finger on the button or whether it pulled through the line, or maybe something went wrong. I don't know, but he was waiting on the start line for a very long time, was Russell Taylor. You could see he put it on the 2-step, the butterflies went wide open, and it just pulled through the beams. And yeah, unfortunately for Russell Taylor, that will go down in the history books as a loss there. And Andrew Sutton gets the win. Not something I thought that anybody would have expected coming into this race.
That was a pretty stout run.
Yeah, it was.
Certainly Sutton's best result this weekend and here, but...
Yeah, put it up on the 2-step and it just dragged straight through the beams. Because it was still under power when the chutes came out at 489 at 238 k's per hour. There was a cylinder out right from the hit of the throttle there for Kyle Putland on the right-hand side of the car. I'm not sure whether or not he felt it nosing over and decided to shut it off, but either way, 489, 088 on the tree, 0.924 to the short time there. You can see right there, hosing a lot of fuel out of the side of the race car. And you see his head... The Black Mama strikes first in the new championship. Phil Reed will take home the big trophy, 376. That's their third time in the 370s this weekend. And I think we're going to have a pretty happy and a pretty emotional Bruce Reed down there as well. Plenty of hugs all around for the HydroLink team. And I say this interview is going to be good value at the top end of the racetrack with Phil Reed. Looking at the replay, not a lot wrong with Phil Reed's car. That thing was picture perfect. Maybe a little bit ugly at the top end of the racetrack, pushing out a head gasket. But when you get the win, it really doesn't matter. For Wayne Newby, that thing was a little bit ugly right from the get-go. I think it might have actually tripped the pan pressure switch, which shuts the car off and puts the chutes out. And unfortunately for Wayne Newby, that was all she wrote. But it's hard to fault this Reed team this weekend.
Look at the HydroLink team. The boys are all up and about it. We look at again at that Gear Wrench replay. Newby was valiant, but that team has just worked its tail off. The two cars for the Rapisada team, why they'll sleep well. Tonight, I would hope that it was still monster trucking with the shoots out for the majority of that run. 4:07, put your hands together for Queenslander Justin Walsh. Everybody giving Phil Reed a big round of applause as he comes back as well. What a weekend this has been. Walsh rips it through. Boy, there's going to be some head scratching going on with the Aeroflow rocket team.
You would have to think that for Morris McMillan, that would have been a mid-390 at least with the shoots out that early. That car was on an absolute mission to go 416 with the shoots out before 300 feet on the racetrack. That's an incredible run, but take nothing away from Justin Walsh on the car.
But what a moment for Josh Lay. There'll be tears from Wifey, I'm pretty sure as well.
Look at the shots on the wall. The Hearts team, the Aeroflow team, all down there giving him a round of applause. He's already got the belts undone. He is ready to party. Boy. Josh Lay, man, this is going to be a hell of an interview. Look at Kels.
That is so cool. That's his beautiful wife, Kelsey. I know that Josh's mum and dad are here, and also his sister Chelsea's here as well. So there's a lot of, well, look at the emotion there. That is such a great moment. Oh, now I'm not crying, you're crying. She gets around Monza as well. Look at that, for tears of pride. And Nitro.
So cool, look at this. And you talk about the one team, one dream in this Aeroflow funny car team.
Oh, wow.
And that is an example of it right there. These guys, they race hard, they play fair, and they party together. It really is one team, one dream in the Aeroflow Rocket Industries Hearts Paint Supplies team. And Josh Lay, well, what more can you say? His first season as a full-time Nitro funny car driver, and he's just